In a year of momentous happenings, 2001 was a year that saw events that put the US presidency to test and, according to some, changed the world forever. Early in the year, after insisting that the economy of a superpower must come first, United States President George W. Bush came under pressure from European leaders who insisted he honor a 1997 treaty to combat global warming. In a new diplomatic initiative, the European Union said it was sending a mission to Russia, China, Iran and Japan, where the treaty was signed in the city of Kyoto, to gauge support for the pact after Bush's rejection of it. A few months later, a damning report from the International Federation of the Red Cross and the Red Crescent Societies said that global warming was helping to increase not only the number of natural disasters each year, but also the severity of them, and it was the poor who were suffering the most.
I think the first thing, you've got to make it clear to people what's actually happening. For me, there are really two things going on at the moment. There is an increase in the number of disasters, and that's almost certainly due to global warming and changes in climate patterns. And there's an increase in their severity. More and more people are, if you like, being pushed into poverty and just unable to climb back out of that. And some of that is to do with the process of globalization and how it impacts on people's lives. So you've got to get the story straight to start with. And then you've got to look at the solutions. And the solutions are basically to say disasters, they're not a blip on the development curve. They're absolute part of development now, and you've got to deal with them like that. They're not one-off events.
In New York, the city skyline, a powerful symbol of America's financial heart, was about to become the center of a tragic event that stunned the world. In less than 2 hours, on September the 11th, almost 3,000 people were killed, hundreds injured, and the iconic Twin Towers of the World Trade Center lay in ruins. Thomas Canavan was one of the lucky ones. He made it down from the 47th floor safely, but did not manage to get out of the building before being caught in the collapse.
Big boom, come down the steps, everything fine till we got to the basement, and then everything just fell in. I got trapped under there with another guy, crawled out, kept getting hit in the head, hit bags all around. Finally, we clawed our way out over the rubble.
Yeah. Come on,
and we did all right.
All right, way to be, Tom. Let's go.
In the days following the attack, hundreds and hundreds of families were still waiting to hear whether or not the remains of their loved ones had been found.
A lot of these people are never going to come home to us, but they need to rest somewhere, and they have to rest there, and it has to be done properly, with some respect.
When the former Beatle George Harrison died later in the year, somehow it seemed that the days of peace and love were over for some.
I mean, you can think back. The Beatles, when you listen to their music, it takes you back to a time when you actually can make believe it was actually very peaceful, even though it really was in the 60s. But they take you out of this world, especially with the attacks September 11th, what's going on all over Europe, daily attacks, terrorism, and things are just getting really worse.
The 58-year-old lead guitarist of the Beatles, once a heavy smoker, had been treated 3 years earlier in Switzerland for throat cancer and had developed lung cancer earlier in the year.
I found out last night, and I'm devastated, obviously, like everyone is. He had a long battle with his cancer, but I saw him a few weeks ago, and he was full of fun, like he always was. He's such a brave lad. To me, he's just my little baby brother. We grew up together, and I knew him in my old hometown, Liverpool. And we just had so many beautiful times together that's what I'm going to remember him by. A lovely guy who's full of humor, as I say, even when I saw him last time, and he was obviously very unwell. He was still cracking jokes like he always was. And he'll be sorely missed. He's a beautiful man, and the world will miss him.
As US-led forces mounted devastating bombing raids on Afghanistan, 2001 was drawing to a close. Another year of momentous happenings.